Hello, hello. Welcome to day 9 of the 21-day movement challenge. We have made it past hump day. We are now just about at the weekend, starting tomorrow, but we are still doing every day 10 minutes of movement, and I commend you for joining this challenge. Today, we are going to continue with strengthening, but we are going to work today on strengthening the little muscles, the muscles that are very important that support all of our body while we are trying to build strength in those bigger muscles, but just to make sure that we are getting all of these muscles strengthened and to prevent injury. So today we're going to start. Grab a stool, grab a chair, whatever you have access to. We're going to sit on that stool nice and tall over our sit bones. We are going to start with our hands. You're going to just wave your fingers back and forth. We're just working on stretching those fingers out. We're making sure everything is nice and warmed up and protected. Back and forth, moving those fingers over each other. We're going to now extend our arm. Don't lock into your elbow. We're just stretching that wrist. Same thing with the other arm, stretching that wrist. Bringing our elbow above our head, we're going to stretch that arm and switch to the other one. And down. When you are bringing your shoulders back and you're trying to keep those wide scapulas, those wide shoulder blades across your back, I want you to think not about rolling your shoulders back, but about spreading them back. So we're going to place our palms to the front. And I want you to think about almost pulling your hands across like you are painting an invisible wall in front of you. Just feeling those shoulders spread wide across your back, feeling the space between the neck, feeling the space between that shoulder socket and the humeral head, that shoulder head that's in that ball and socket. We're just creating some space and making sure our angel wings are wide across our back. And we're going to inhale here and exhale. And place our hands down at our sides. We're going to move the stool or chair away from us. We're now going to get into carpet, floor, whatever is comfortable for you. Just make sure you have some protection under your knees if you need it. And we're going to get onto all fours. Toes are going to be tucked under. And you're going to think about placing those fingers facing toward each other. We're going to do that same movement that we just did, a slight bend of the elbow like you're hugging a ball in front of you, keeping that nice flat back, but you're still pulling your hands away from each other to create that tension in the triceps and the forearms and create that nice strength in it. Now we're going to do a very, very slow and small bend down, squashing the ball in between you. As if you were hugging the ball, you're bringing it down and squashing that ball a little bit. And last one. And up. You're going to place your palms so that your fingers are facing forward. This is one of those little movements we were talking about that you might have seen in some of the other challenges where we're just pushing up through those shoulder blades. So we're not actually bending down. We're keeping our arms straight. And I just want you to press through the floor so that you feel your wings spread a little bit across your back and back down. Still maintaining that nice flat back. Spreading it across and back down. Very small movement here. And back down. Last one. And relax. Now we're going to untuck our toes. I want you to roll forward onto your wrists and come back. Place them to the sides. Roll forward and place them to the back. Roll forward on them. We're just stretching our wrists here. Feeling a little bit of strength in our hands. And opening everything up. and relax. We're now going to very gently place our palms on the floor. You're still maintaining that nice flat back. We are not moving into a forearm plank from here. All we're doing is, I want you to think about as if someone were placing their hands on top of your hands and pressing them into the floor, pulling your elbows in toward your midline as you come up, and slowly going back down, but your elbows remain rotated toward your midline the entire time. You're going to really feel this activation in your triceps. This is how you make sure that your shoulder blades, those wings across your back, that's how you make sure that they're wide as you're doing this. This is getting you ready for that forearm plank. And back down, last one. And back down. Stretch your hands out in front of you, sit back onto your sit bones, and press yourself back. See how much you can sink into it. Open up that back. And come onto your stomach. From here, we are still maintaining that midline position so those elbows rotate in toward your midline. You're just going to gently press yourself up and feel that stretch in your back and in your front, in your stomach and your abdominal wall. Make sure your shoulders stay down and go back down. Pressing up one more time. Just feeling that stretch, breathe into it and come back down. And stretch out. You can come back up into the all fours position. And what I want you to think about for this one, we're moving now into our lower body, all the little muscles in our hips to start. I want you to think about bringing your leg to the side and back down. Sort of like a dog. When they are using the bathroom, they lift that leg. You're doing the same thing, feeling that opening in your hip. We call this the wag the dog. And back down. Lift up and back down. Now for the next one, I want you to lift up, come around, and down. Lift up, knee goes to the front, rotate that hip in its socket, and come down. Still maintaining a nice square flat back. Lift up, rotate that hip in its socket, and come back down. And I'm going to turn around so you can see it on the other side. So still maintaining that nice flat back. We're going to lift up and back down. Lift up and back down. Lift up and back down. Feel the opening in your hip and lift up and back down. And now feel that rotation as you lift up. Rotate that hip around in the socket and back down. Again, up. Bring your knee to the front. Rotate it around in the socket and back down. You should feel this in your glute muscle, your butt muscle too. Last one, up. Rotate it around in its socket and come back down. And relax. We're now going to get onto our backs. And we're going to start to think about those little muscles in our hips again. You're going to extend your legs out in front of you. You're going to bring one leg up. I want you to flex through the heel with your left leg. And you're just circling your leg around in your hip socket with that hip nicely secured, nicely supported, flexing that foot, reaching energy out that heel. And reverse it. Good. And back down. Raise your right heel, stretch through that hamstring. Keep that nice neutral posture. We're rotating one way. Whatever way you start, when I say reverse, we're going to go the other way. You're just thinking about that energy out the heel. And reverse. Think about the movement in that hip socket, keeping it nice and secure, nice and supported. And place that foot on the floor. We're going to bend our legs. We're going to drop our knees to one side, and I just want you to feel the nice opening and rotation of that torso up above you. So your knees are going one way, twist the torso the opposite way, create that opposition in your spine and that rotation. Keeping your shoulders down, you don't want them hiking up to your head. No shrugging of the shoulders. And come back up. Rotate the other way. If you need to, you can bring your bent knees closer to your body, but just try to feel that opposition as you rotate your knees one way and the opposition of the rotation of your torso the other. And come back up. We are now going to place both our legs up wherever is comfortable for you, and we're just going to circle our legs in our hip sockets, nice and supported. Feel that through your core. And reverse the other way. Good. Breathing through the whole thing. And place your legs down. I want you to lift your left arm up. You're going to press your shoulder blade into the floor. And you're going to slowly rotate your arm so that you are dropping that shoulder head into your shoulder socket. Feeling that nice support. Very small movement here. And touch your shoulder. Bend your elbow, touch your shoulder. Last one. And place it down. Now we're going to do the same thing. Now a lot of people, when they are in this supine, this laying on your back position like you're about to do a crunch, your shoulders will start to roll forward. So I want you to think about pressing your shoulder blades into the floor. Lifting that arm. Press that shoulder blade. Tiny little circle. Drop that humeral, that shoulder ball into the shoulder socket. Feel it nice and supported. Press that shoulder blade into the floor. And reverse. Good. Try to keep your feet about hip width apart. And touch your hand to your shoulder. Bend your elbow and extend. Bend your elbow and extend. Last one. Elbow in and extend. Press into the floor. Now I want you to just think about, as we start to articulate our pelvis, a lot of people, when they press into the floor, they press their palms in and they lose contact with that upper part of their arm into the floor. So as you start to articulate your pelvis up, you're pressing the upper backs of your arms into the floor to maintain that nice strong contact with it. And you want to think about one vertebra at a time. You start to dip the tailbone up toward the ceiling. Come up, come up, come up. And back down. We're creating space in our hip sockets as we do this. I don't want you to feel any kind of clenching or jamming. If you articulate through that pelvis, you can create that space. Create a nice long vertebra. Last one. Articulate up, dip it up toward the ceiling. Back down. And remember, with all of these movements, you're initiating the movement with that exhale so that you can pull that belly button in and up toward the spine. Let's try one more. Inhale, exhale, belly button comes in and up toward the spine. Remember to make contact with the floor with your upper backs of your arms and back down and relax. Come up to a seated position and give yourself a nice little pat. Now, this might have felt like some easier movement, but all we are doing is really trying to work on those tiny little muscles, which makes such a huge difference when we're doing the bigger strength training in the future. This was day 9. We will see you back here tomorrow for day 10. We are almost halfway through the challenge. Keep sticking with it. Keep consistent. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining us.